Welcome back to the Degenerates podcast. I'm here with Nick and Sarvad, and I have to get something off my chest really quickly. Trevon Diggs is not as good as everybody says he is. Everybody is so ready after 5 weeks to name this guy the Defensive Player of the Year when, yeah, he has interceptions. He has an interception in every game, but that's not what makes a good corner. That man has been targeted 38 times and given up almost 20 receptions for over 250 yards. That means he's on pace to give up over 1,400 yards this season, which would by far be the most in NFL history. I don't care how many interceptions he have if he's giving up 1,400 yards in a year. Like, that's not good for the team, and it's certainly not Defensive Player of the Year worthy over guys like Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. It's nowhere close to what he needs to be, and the interceptions are not everything. A true lockdown corner, guys like Jair Alexander, they don't get targeted 38 times because their guy's not open. So Trevon Diggs, we all saw him get dusted by Kadarius Toney. He gets dusted by everybody. That's just the first time there's been a big video of it. And he also can't even tackle. He's a missed tackle percentage over 20%. So I'm really just over hearing all this Defensive Player of the Year talk already for Trevon Diggs when he doesn't even know how to cover his guy. He's just a wide receiver out there in coverage. So I just had to be upfront about that and rant about it a little bit because that man is not the Defensive Player of the Year.
And we're not saying that you can't ever be good. Yeah. It's just he's not right now. He's gotten better since last year. He's definitely been better. As like the Bucs game, he was very good.
He was very good.
He's been better. Just not good enough.
Nope.
Sarvad, during the first 4 weeks of the season, you did think he was very good.
I did.
What changed your mind?
Well, you see, I actually didn't know that he was on pace to give up that many yards. I didn't watch any of the Cowboys games. Yeah. I just saw people were saying that, and I was like, oh.
No, he benefits.
And he looks sick, bro. DBs with single-digit numbers look sick on the field.
He benefits off of a lot of like garbage throws by quarterbacks where they're just either lofting up or when he intercepted Jalen Hurts. I mean, that was one of the worst throws on that route. And Devonta Smith fell down. That's probably not an interception if Devonta Smith doesn't fall down. So I just don't think that, one, he's not going to keep that up. I wouldn't be surprised if he only gets 1 or 2 interceptions for the rest of the year. And 2, I frankly just don't see him as a Defensive Player of the Year if he's giving up 40% more than the previous high for yards in a season given up by a cornerback. But moving on to the Monday night game, because I know Nick has a lot to say about this because he is let's just say that he might have a little bit of a thing for Lamar Jackson.
I mean, how can you not, honestly? But moving on.
I mean,
he played one heck of a game.
He did, but so did Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz did play well.
And I think that we're not talking about how good Lamar played if Rodrigo Blankenship hits that field goal. But
I think we still are.
I think we still are. There we go.
I hate Lamar. You know I hate Lamar, but
I don't even ignore that game. Well. You can't just ignore.
It was a good game. 85% completion percentage is really good, and I give him a lot of props for that.
And I would take when you said Carson Wentz, I would take Indianapolis Colts defense over the Ravens defense right now because we talked about missing tackles. The Ravens can't tackle. I don't know if you've ever watched.
The
Ravens cannot tackle. Patrick Queen. So fast, he cannot make a single tackle to save his life.
Patrick Queen runs around for the whole game. That's literally
he runs around.
He just runs around.
He literally dives into people and he bounces right off. He cannot tackle. He cannot tackle. I'm a huge Ravens fan. I will be the first to admit Patrick Queen needs to get better. In their offense, their defensive line has gotten better. They make too many penalties. Can't rush the quarterback either. Like their defense is not good. Marcus Peters is out. That's hurting them a lot. Jimmy Smith is out. Anthony Averett, toasted. Literally, all of Carson Wentz's, most of his throws went to Anthony Averett, and he got dusted. He got mossed by Michael Pittman, and he had a pass interference on that play. So how is that even possible?
You know what else is hurting the Ravens? Lamar fumbling in the red zone.
Yes, that was bad. That was
huge jetch, and he cannot, because that was a big criticism.
He can't keep doing that.
Is that his ball security is not very good.
It's happened in multiple games.
Yes, I agree. He needs to get better at that.
I will be the first one. If Lamar plays bad, I will be the first one to hate on him, but he played really well. And Nick's right.
There we
Lamar
go.
is a dark horse for MVP.
No, he is not.
No,
that
the
man
funny
is not.
thing is,
No.
Lamar is.
After that game, 442 passing yards. He's 5th in passing yards in the league and 8th in rushing yards.
Okay, that's cool.
Wait, how good the Ravens' record is.
4-1.
And how
They've
beaten good teams, and Lamar, his stats back him up. Everything backs him up. There is no way you can say that Lamar is not an MVP candidate. I would love to say Lamar's not an MVP candidate, but he is.
If Week 5 told us anything, it told us that Justin Herbert should be leading the MVP.
No.
Well,
right
we'll
now.
see. They play each other.
It is
this week.
between Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray.
I would put
Kyler Murray
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
will
Josh
be
Allen is
not
up
watching.
there.
Josh Allen is
up
the
there.
MVP.
But as I said last week, I said this last week and I'll say it again. It is hard to win MVP when you don't have the hype around you.
Okay.
And Josh Allen, he had the hype last year, and he kind of choked towards the end of the year, and I don't think he has the enough hype. The hype right now, everybody is on the Herbert train. Everybody's watching him week in and week out. Everybody is seeing what he's doing. He's one of the most posted people on NFL's Instagram. He has everything he needs. He has the hype. He's a second-round breakout guy. He's a personality that everybody loves. He's like kind of a quirky guy. He has what he needs to win MVP, get those votes, and have the support of the
I know that MVP is like about like story and stuff, but I think Josh Allen should definitely win it if the Bills win the AFC, which I think they will do.
Well,
I
the
think
thing
Josh-
is, MVP is a regular season award. It's
I know. I meant like have the best record in the
okay.
AFC.
I think it'll come down to the Bills and Chargers for sure. I think those are by far the best two teams.
I just don't think that the Chargers at the end of the year will have a close.
In their
record to
last
the
3
Bills.
games, the Chargers have put up 35 points per game, which is third in the NFL, only behind the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. And the Cowboys played the Eagles defense, which is horrible, and the Buccaneers played the Dolphins. And, I mean, that's not really much of a contest, especially without Tua. So I think that when it comes to overall team, the Chargers are so good, and all they need is they've always had this little injury bug that goes through them. Derwin James gets hurt.
He's playing very well.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a little bit of an injury scare, but that man really cannot stay healthy. But he's so good when he plays. So if they can just stay healthy as a team, if Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, if all 3 of those stay healthy, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they are the only chance for anybody except the Bills to win the AFC.
I disagree. Well, obviously, those two will be fighting at the end. I agree with that. But I think Josh Allen, as we move further through the season, he will start to get more hype. And I think Justin Herbert, that offense won't be able to consistently put up so many points. Like, defenses will start to shut them down. And I think what Josh Allen is doing, like not in the Chiefs game, because everyone has been doing that to the Chiefs this year. I think Josh Allen will get more hype, and I think Josh Allen will be the MVP.
But the thing is like you can say that you don't think they're gonna keep it up, but if you just look at the offensive talent they have, they are like almost on par with the Cowboys for how much offensive talent they have. They have Justin Herbert, who's right now playing like a top 5 quarterback. They have Austin Eckler, one of the best dual threat running backs in the league, only behind Christian McCaffrey, who's hurt right now. Then you have Mike Williams, the reception touchdown leader so far. And he was drafted back in the 2017 draft.
Top 5.
Everybody wanted Mike Williams. He was going to be so good. And then with Phillip Rivers, he didn't do that great. And then, I just talked about Mike Williams without even talking about Keenan Allen. And right now, Mike Williams is outshining Keenan Allen. But as people start to pick up on Mike Williams and they start to cover him a little better, that's just room for Keenan Allen to break out. And I think that they just have so much offensive firepower. Their offensive line improved miles from what it was last year. And this team is just arguably a top 3 team in the entire league right now.
No one's saying they're not.
Yeah.
Chargers are really good.
Chargers are very good.
But, so, obviously now that we're a little over a quarter of the way through the season, a lot of the awards races are starting to heat up. We talked about MVP last week, and we just talked about it again for a little bit. Yeah. But it's time to start talking about the rookies.
Well, I don't know if they're all heating up. I mean, one of the offensive rookie kind of out of the question. I think, I can speak for all of us. I think Jamar Chase is frankly running away with it.
Well, just because he is doing great right now, there's still a lot of season left. And I think that you're starting to see the emergence of a lot of new talents that were just... Because, I mean, if you think about it, Ja'Marr Chase really had a head start. He was back with his college quarterback, and he had, in a completely offensive-minded team against some awful teams on their schedule, he had a massive head start over a lot of these other rookies. So I think when you see a guy like Kadarius Toney, who barely played at all in the first 3 games. He was getting close to no playing. He didn't even get a single snap in the second game of the season. Now all of a sudden you see him in the Saints game. He gets about, I think he got between like 70 and 80% of the snaps. He had a great game. He made some highlight plays. And now you see him in the Giants game. He only played half of the snaps before he got ejected for hitting somebody. And in that half, he put up 10 receptions for 189 yards. That is something to keep an eye on. As all these Giants weapons are getting hurt, we don't know how long they're going to be out. Saquon Barkley just had a bad ankle sprain, so they're going to be passing more. Even with the Daniel Jones injury, that guy still put together an insane game, had some great... He's not even known as like a contested ball catcher, but he had some ridiculous catches. He's making people miss. That is somebody that's going to be heating up over the course of the season.
I think that once Kenny Golladay, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard come back, he will have a lesser role, and he won't be able to match the production that Ja'Marr Chase has.
If he keeps performing like this, he's not going to have a lesser role. If he puts up 100 yards in back-to-back games, and then Kenny Golladay comes back, can you justify sitting him on the bench for the majority of the game? A guy who just put up 10 receptions and 100 yards in back-to-back games?
I just think it'll be harder for him to keep up this level of production than it would be for Ja'Marr Chase to keep up what he's doing.
But with the injury to Daniel Jones, they now have a lesser quarterback in there. You need somebody like Kadarius Toney who you can just dump the ball off to and he gets you extra yards.
Yeah.
He averages over 8 yards after catch per reception, which is ridiculous. And half of his yards are yards after the catch. And that's what you need when you have an inferior quarterback in there. Because you need somebody who you don't need to necessarily air the ball out to because your quarterback can't get it there most of the time. You need somebody you can dump it off to and they can make stuff happen, and that is what Kadarius Toney is. In his 20 receptions, he has 14 first downs. He's a playmaker, and I'm excited to see what he can do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, he's really good. He'll play well. I just
think his role will diminish once everyone becomes healthy, like Sarvad said. One of the things I could see helping him in his case is, since Daniel Jones, I mean, he did have a really bad hit, but it's a concussion, and if he gets cleared, he could be back before some of the other guys, which would give him, Kadarius Toney, a starting quarterback who
has been playing well.
Yes.
Daniel Jones has been playing really well, so Kadarius Toney might...
I know, but his concussion looked really bad. It could be one of those multi-week concussions, to be honest. But I still think if we're talking about offensive rookie of the year, I don't think that we can count out Devonta Smith yet. He was the Heisman winner, and even though the Eagles are not producing right now, I think it'll be really easy for them to kind of improve as the year goes. And if you think about like what a lot of their easy games are, it's teams that are in their division, minus the Cowboys, obviously. But they've only played one division game, and that's against the Cowboys, and their next one I think is like week 12 or something
like that. And the defenses in that division are very bad this year, especially Washington football team.
So there's
I really thought they would be a top defense.
I thought they were going to be the best defense.
They are
horrible,
so bad,
really, really bad for absolutely no reason.
They have so much talent coming back.
Yeah, they have so much talent on the front seven, and they're just horrible.
They just don't have a good secondary, and it's just making it bad. They invested heavily in D-line, so their linebackers and safeties are like.
I know, but I really thought that that would be enough because last year they got pressure on quarterbacks and it was ridiculous. But I mean that's what the Buccaneers have. They don't have very much secondary.
Yeah, but
they have a better linebacker.
They also have the Buccaneers also have a way better offense, so they can sustain it.
That's true.
Football team, their defense is on the field constantly, so maybe that's why.
What about defensive player of the year or not defensive player, defensive rookie of the year? Sorry,
Greg Newsome. I know he's been hurt, but. That man was locked down the first 3 weeks.
He really was.
He was insane.
Only 9 targets in 3 weeks is kind of ridiculous.
I know.
And only gave up 42 yards or something like that. The man was lights out. But I'm not sure exactly what his injury was, but I'm hoping he can come back soon.
I really hope he can come back and show everyone that he is who everyone thinks Trevon Diggs is.
And obviously, a lot of people are going to talk about Micah Parsons.
Obviously, yeah.
Micah Parsons, he's been kind of lights out this year. And not just that, but he's been asked to play 2 different positions. Right?
Yeah.
He played linebacker, then he also played edge rusher for the Cowboys. So it's kind of been an interesting year for him. And I think that right now he might be seen as the front runner for defensive rookie of the year.
He probably is the front runner right now, given the injury to Greg Newsome.
Yeah.
So
I'll just throw out like Asante Samuel. We've talked about how the Chargers are playing. He's been playing very well.
Yeah.
He's got 2 picks on the year.
But those aren't everything.
Exactly, as we've seen with Trevon Diggs. But he's been playing very well. And another rookie on the defensive side that I think has been playing very well is Greg Rousseau in Buffalo. I think he's really
he has.
Yeah, he's
Greg
been getting
Rousseau.
he's gotten 3 sacks, which that's pretty good
for a rookie.
5 weeks into the season for a rookie. But he's also getting a lot of pressure off the edge.
The thing about Greg Rousseau is the Bills, their main problem last year was that they weren't able to generate enough pressure. And in the draft, they took Greg Rousseau in the first round, and they took Boogie Basham in the second round.
Yeah.
Both those guys have been playing really well, and that's why the Bills are playing so well right now. They're able to generate pressure, and that just helps their defense out so much because they have an amazing secondary.
So do you think they can take their huge win from last week and kind of carry it on to the Titans, who are Titans are obviously
they're faltering.
They're only a couple weeks off of losing to the Jets, which was pretty sucky for them. And now they're starting to get some of their guys back. So, I mean, do you think that a lot of times we see a team goes with a big win, they have a blowout win and against a huge team, and then a lot of times the next week they kind of stumble?
I don't see the Bills stumbling at all. The way Josh Allen is playing, and now the defense is being able to generate pressure and get stops. The defense last year couldn't get stops, and that was the reason they lost to the Chiefs. Their offense is as good now, and now they can get stops. The Bills are poised to win the Super Bowl. They're literally the best team.
No, I agree. The Bills are incredible.
They're insanely good.
I had them as my Super Bowl winners over the Packers at the beginning of the season, and I think I can stand by that. I think the Packers are, after a horrible week 1, they kind of picked it up, and if Mason Crosby can get out of this little slump that he's in, I think they will be the team to beat in the NFC. I mean, you can say the Bucs all you want, but as of right now,
I would put the Rams.
They don't have.
I would put the Rams.
I would put the Rams and the Packers over there, and the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, you can't sleep on.
I don't think the Bucs are a top three team in the NFC
NFL
right now.
is very competitive right now.
It is. There are a lot. It's very top heavy. There's a lot of very good teams and a lot of very bad.
But all
teams.
the very good teams are very close. Like there's no clear favorite because now the Chiefs are faltering. The Buccaneers
think the lack of secondary for the Buccaneers is just gonna.
They've been hurt with injuries though.
And trust me, I think that they will win tomorrow and Thursday, but I can also say that I would not be surprised if the Eagles beat them. The Eagles are coming off an improbable win versus the Panthers, and that was on the road too. And now they're coming home to play the Buccaneers on Thursday, and I think that is kind of a prime setup for a trap game for the Buccaneers. I think that the Buccaneers could kind of stumble here after a big win over the Dolphins last week, and the Eagles, as we've seen, are a huge pass-heavy team. They don't give the ball to Miles Sanders. They don't run the ball. And that's exactly what you need to beat the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers, they have a great run defense, but their pass defense is very sketchy. So I think that it all hinges on Jalen Hurts. He is the most inconsistent player I've seen since Cam Newton when he was on the Panthers, because Cam Newton would have a great week and the next week he would suck. And it's the exact same thing for Jalen Hurts. You saw him come out week 1 versus Falcons. He was great. And then the next 2 weeks, Niners, Cowboys, horrible. And then he had a good week versus the Chiefs, and then last week versus the Panthers, absolutely terrible. So if he can bounce back from that and kind of follow this up and down pattern and have a lights out game versus the Buccaneers, who have a terrible secondary, I think the Eagles could maybe upset the Buccaneers this Thursday.
I agree. Well, I don't agree that the Eagles have a chance. I see this going 2 ways. There's 3 possible ways that it could go. I see only 2 scenarios. I think the Buccaneers will blow the Eagles out of the water, or if Jalen Hurts has one of those very good games, I see it being a shootout, but I really don't see them having enough firepower to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs.
So the Bucs obviously have a lot of offensive firepower, but I mean, if you look at how they play, all that firepower is never shown in one game.
With that being said, one person can kill a team. Like
That's
Antonio
true.
Brown
I think Antonio
has
Brown
killed multiple teams.
So
Mike Evans also has killed multiple teams, and then you got Chris Godwin too.
I want to say Antonio Brown is going to be the receiver this week. In terms of fantasy, if I had to go between three of them, I would probably stick Chris Godwin and try to play Evans or Brown. Because the Eagles, they're a little suspect when it comes to covering slot receivers. Yeah. But the thing is when you have an offense with that many weapons, it's hard for the same guy to have a boom week twice.
But the thing is,
and
Tom Brady loves his slot receivers.
He does.
He loves Antonio Brown.
And he just came out, he was like, I see Antonio Brown as a brother.
Like, he loves Antonio Brown so much. He loves his slot receivers.
I think
He's been targeting him so much.
I think it depends on who Darius Slay is covering. So I think, Darius Slay, he had 2 interceptions last week against Sam Darnold. So I think, it's obvious that he has the ability to lock down anybody who he guards. And if that Eagles defense can come out with the fire they did last week, then the Eagles might have a chance this game, especially since it's a home game.
They might have a chance. I just don't think it'll happen.
But I don't honestly think it's gonna happen. But the Philadelphia crowd, they can show out, they can change the game. So, even if it's not likely, I would still give them 5 to 10% chance of winning. But in terms of score predictions, I'm gonna go first here. I'm gonna say 28-25 Buccaneers.
Wow, that is a lot closer than
I think the Eagles will
28-25.
I think the Eagles will cover the spread. 28-25.
I would say 42 to 21.
Oh, you know what's important to consider?
Bucks.
You know what's important to consider? The Eagles beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
I think he's going to be a little bit mad.
But Nick Foles isn't there. He lost to Nick Foles last time we played him.
Yeah. 42 to 21, I think.
Tom Brady hates
Bucks win.
He does hate the Eagles. We beat him 3 of the last 4 times we played him. So
I know.
But what about you, Rod?
42-28.
42-20. You think it's gonna be that much of a blowout? A 14-point blowout?
42-28.
We'll see. There's a lot of X factors this game.
I don't trust the Eagles at all. I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I really don't like Jalen Hurts at all. I think he's a bad quarterback.
He's horrible.
He's literally, he might be the worst quarterback.
He's not
worst
good.
Starter.
I wouldn't say he's the worst starter, but he's not good. He has potential to be good, but he doesn't use it. He doesn't use his legs. There's no design runs. Last week, there was a moment in the Cardinals game where a Cardinals defender jumped off sides, and he recognized that this meant he had a free play. He motioned the receiver downfield, told him, go far, this is a free play. And he proceeded to throw it out of bounds. And it's like,
bro, give him a chance.
Come on. How can you make that big of an error to throw it out of bounds? So there are frustrating moments. But game of the week, I think that there's 2 clear games that this has to come down to. Chargers-Ravens or Cardinal-Browns. And I think Chargers-Ravens can be fantastic.
I think it is too.
It should be a big shootout if Lamar can repeat what he did last Monday. And I honestly don't see how that's I don't know why that's a 1 o'clock game and not a primetime game.
It should be.
It should be primetime for sure.
Not Steelers, Geno Smith action.
And then Cardinals-Browns. I think that's another game to keep an eye on.
Obviously. I think a really sneaky one that could be really good is Packers-Bears.
Maybe.
I think that Packers-Bears rivalry might come back, and I don't know. They usually play close. Not close, but they play hard. And it's interesting to watch, so that might be good.
But we have to remember that it's Justin Fields, rookie quarterback
against
Aaron Rodgers.
Against a bad Packers defense.
It's Justin Fields.
I wouldn't say that.
With the offensive line of the Bears.
Yeah, I know, but they beat the Raiders.
And they don't have David.
They did beat the Raiders.
They beat the Raiders by a lot. It was 29.
It actually wasn't a close game.
It wasn't close.
It was close for a little bit, the score was, but you knew the Bears were winning.
So I would give the Bears a chance to win that one.
Maybe, but
it's obviously
I think Packers,
Chargers, Ravens, Cardinals, Browns.
Yeah. Upset of the week. I'm gonna go Geno Smith and the Steelers. Geno Smith and the Seahawks over the Steelers. I think that. The Steelers are favorites, obviously, because nobody really knows what Geno Smith can do. But we saw Geno Smith come in last Thursday. He had some bad moments, and he's obviously not Russell Wilson. He can't escape the pocket like Russell Wilson. But he made some good throws. He led a good drive, a touchdown drive. I think that he could upset the Steelers, and that's a Sunday night game. And I think that's
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if the Seahawks win.
Yeah.
My upset of the week, bold take here, going with the winless Lions over the Bengals. I really do think the Lions have been playing.
They have been
They're
playing
not.
good.
They're not good. Trust me. I know they're not good.
The Bengals just almost beat the Packers.
Yeah, I don't trust the Bengals. The Lions, they've been playing well enough to beat football teams. They just, at the end of the game, they always find something to do. I think they always lose on field goals. I think that this is the week they finally pull one out.
I can respect that.
My upset, I don't know if it's an upset. I was going to say Vikings over Panthers.
That's okay.
I would take that.
Technically an upset.
Technically an upset.
The Panthers played pretty poorly last week.
Play very bad.
I mean, their defense looked great, but their offense just
I think the Vikings will be.
They need to get Robbie Anderson involved more. That guy was a stud last year. He's one of the better receivers in the league last year, and he's been non-existent this year, which is weird because he has that pass and chemistry with Sam Darnold. He put up 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
DJ Moore's the one who's been getting all the targets.
I know, but why?
It's kind of just flipped from last year.
Yeah,
last year,
it's
DJ
weird.
Moore kind of fell off.
They need to do something like the Buccaneers do, where they find out a way to like spread it out
at
every different game, and
they also are limited with Sam Darnold. Like he's good, but he's not as good, obviously, as like Tom Brady or something.
They need
like that.
Christian McCaffrey. He has a chance to play this week, but I'd be surprised if it happened.
I would see too.
So now, as some of you guys might know, hockey season started last night. It was a nice season, so we're gonna bring on the starting goalie for the University of Florida hockey team, Tyler York.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, Tyler. To listen to him and his thoughts about the hockey opener last night, NHL.
Yeah, so I mean, we had 2 games last night. The Lightning and the Penguins was game 1, and then the Kraken in their first NHL game they played away in Vegas against the Knights. So it was actually 2 really good games for opening night.
They were pretty good.
We were here watching them, and that was pretty interesting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Kraken, their first game, I think it's a big storyline. And you saw Vegas in their first year, right? They make it all the way to the Stanley Cup. And I think that sets a really high bar for the Kraken, obviously. I mean, nobody expected Vegas to do that, where they made it to the Stanley Cup in their first year and competed with, what was the Capitals, right? And I don't think that the Kraken will be able to do that, but obviously after what Vegas did, it's going to be really interesting to see if another expansion team can have that kind of luck. And what's interesting is they're from Seattle, right? And when the Mariners were an expansion team in Seattle just about 20-something years ago, they actually won the World Series in their second year.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see with this.
I definitely think it'll be a cool season.
I don't think the Kraken...
We went up 2 teams in the last 4 years, which is interesting. Not a lot of other sports have done that recently, and I think it's something we'll see more commonly throughout each of the leagues. Like we see the NFL is doing more games in the regular season, and there's been a lot of changes, and I think there'll be more to come. But yeah, so last night the Lightning played their first game against the Penguins, and Penguins were missing Crosby and Malkin, which are like 2 of their star players, so it's kind of hard.
I was very surprised. The Lightning came out and they just looked flat. They
just didn't have their mojo from the last couple seasons. I mean, they're coming off back-to-back championships, looking for a third. I mean, they had their. If I had to put money down on any team right now, it would definitely be the Lightning to win the cup. But I don't know. That was just last night. Wasn't like it just didn't look good. Like it was rough. They just had no clue what they were doing out there. Andre Vasilevsky got rattled early in the second period, let up 2 goals. It was just a rough start all around.
Yeah. It's pretty tough for. I mean, you see a Florida hockey team win back-to-back championships, and I mean it's kind of sad because it's almost like it's wasted because there's not very many hockey fans down here. So it's kind of sad to see like in the NHL where it's so hard to see a repeat champion. You see a different group of people in the playoffs every year. Basically, it's not like basketball and all that where you have these same people over and over again. So it's crazy to see that in the NHL, and I think it might be starting to catch up to the Lightning.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely one of the worst things about their game last night was just their lack of physicality. Like, I mean, both the Knights and the Lightning really lacked that in the last 2 seasons. That was some of their strong points, and they just came out like flat-footed and just had no clue what they were doing. They didn't have any heart. They didn't want the puck. They got beat to everything. Like, I mean,
they just got flat.
The Knights ended up coming out on top, but
So
it was rough.
What do you think about the Kraken in their first game of the franchise?
I mean, they started off pretty bad. Well, first and foremost, back to what you were saying before, like, it was really cool to see Vegas go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals their first year. However, this expansion draft was like just not the same. Like, they didn't get as stacked of a team. Like, everyone knew Vegas was going to be good when they came into the league. No one knew that they'd go that far, but I don't think anyone has those expectations for Kraken. That's not to say I don't think they'll have a good season. Like, it's only one game, and they started off rough, but they came back from a 3-0 deficit.
Yeah.
And prior to this game, Vegas was 90-0-1, went up 3 goals. So they were definitely getting scared there in the third when they let up that third goal. Geeky sniped him short side. Like, that was just honestly a rocket. Like, he didn't have much chance there. He could have been over a little more, but I mean, it is what it is.
And then the kick.
Yeah, and then that game-winning goal was just actually horrible. Like,
that was so bad.
As a goalie, I hated seeing that call so much. Like, they just I don't care if it's off the inside of the skate, the outside of the skate. If he moved his foot back and then forward, like that's bullshit. Like he completely kicked that. I get it was a good play. It ended up winning them the game, and it is what it is. But I just thought it was a horrible call. Like, Toronto disagreed with me. It is what it is. I'm not out there reffing this game, but. He clearly turned his foot, like, kicked forward a little bit. Like, I don't know. That bothered me so much. I was heated.
So I do have to say, give a lot of credit to the Kraken, as Tyler mentioned. They went down 3-0 early, and it would have been so easy, their first game ever, to just put their heads down and just get through the game and move on to the next one. Because, like I said, first game ever, what are they expected? But they kept fighting. They brought it back at 3-2. Did they end up tying it?
Yeah,
they ended up tying it,
3-3.
and then obviously the kick happened.
We all know 3-1's the worst lead in hockey, so that was just another example right there. But I mean, Max Pacioretty had a great game. He scored 2 goals, rang one off the post. Like, he came out there firing, but I mean, Robert Leonard was pretty good, but the rest of the team just wasn't there with him.
So what are we thinking from the Kraken? Do you think they're going to make the playoffs this year?
I mean, it's been one game, way too early to tell, but I'm excited for the next few, and definitely excited for the Flyers opener Friday night. Mm-hmm. So,
Flyers. No. Yeah. Even though the Kraken played pretty bad at the beginning, they still showed effort. Like, you saw, right at the first faceoff, they went out. Pestering. They were pestering the Knights. They were going after the puck. They did not let up.
Yeah.
After the first faceoff, they didn't let up until the end of the third period. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun season. No matter what happens, it'll be great to see another team in the league, and I'm hoping that we can maybe see a basketball team come to Seattle in the next few years. Mm-hmm. But thank you so much for coming on, Tyler. It was good to have you, and we'll have you back again for more hockey talk later on.
For sure. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of the Degenerates podcast. We'll be back next week with more sports news.
Peace.